Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's Movie Blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well. And also, if you did not know, I am a white cisgender male. Now that I've checked my privilege and also properly identified my pronouns, hopefully now we can actually dive into this latest just nonsense from actress Anne Hathaway, who apparently spoke and is just, oh my goodness, Anne, you're not watching this. Some of your fans might be watching this, and all I have to say is, please just stop talking. Please just stop pontificating from your ivory tower that is Hollywood and acting like, oh, you are so high and mighty and so much better than everyone else and that you can preach equality and all these different things to people. Just shut up. Until you are willing to go to another country where people of different races and people of different sexual orientations are actually mistreated, are actually killed for being who they are, until you're willing to go into those countries and actually fight for those people's rights, shut up. You and all of your liberal SJW elites, just shut up, because you have no ground to stand on. You are there pontificating and preaching to every single person, trying to call them out and trying to say, oh, you need to check your privilege. You need to understand where you come from. Shut up. Seriously, shut the hell up. There really is no other words to say when it comes to the situation, because, and you guys know me, I try and stay away from that stuff, because to me it just does not really help to engage with the argument, does not really help to engage with the discussion. But when it's this kind of situation, when you have someone who is so empty-headed, who is just so does not understand reality itself and thinks that she can just preach to everyone around her, that is a situation where I just have no patience for any of that nonsense. But as you see here, Anne Hathaway addresses issues of whiteness and straightness, and I love how it's in quotations, whiteness and straightness, because those are apparently now things that we need to put in quotations. So, actress Anne Hathaway spoke against mythologies of whiteness and straightness in the nation's capital. What mythologies? What in the hell is a mythology about whiteness and straightness? What is that supposed to mean? This is someone who decided one day, you know what, I'm gonna write a book, and it's gonna be about how, there's this whole spectrum, and oh man, there's this whole different world, and people are going to buy into this garbage, and then go so far as to major it in college, and then when they don't get paid a lot of money, they're gonna go ahead and complain about it, even though they're the ones that actively chose to follow a career path that was going to lead to them getting no money. Yeah. That is the current state situation. And also, too, and the government is going to fund those people to go to college, to get those garbage degrees, to get those garbage jobs that pay nothing, so that way they can complain. And guess what? It continues to feed over and over again, which is why I'm just so glad that the people who are actually going out and doing this are a very small minority of people. However, in this situation, when you have an actress like Anne Hathaway, and some people might say, like, what does this have to do with movie news? Well, Anne Hathaway is an actress, and she is a person that is still getting put in roles. She is someone who I'd consider to be a high-profile actress, and this is just going back into the narrative that I have just been denouncing ever since I started, because one of the biggest things about me is that I used to love to watch the Oscars. I used to love to fall into the show because it was all about escapism. Just like the movies that I love to watch as well, I could escape into the awards show and just say, oh man, I remember how great this film was, or oh man, I don't know why this film is getting nominated. I was able to have that kind of internal dialogue, but now it's turned into a political show. Now it's turned into, let me preach to you about the politics that I accept, that only the people here in Hollywood and maybe a few liberal elites actually accept, and everyone else, or at least the vast majority of the people in the nation, do not accept and do not understand and will never accept, because most of it is complete and utter nonsense, like this garbage. I'm sorry, but that bothers me. That bothers me when you try and say people like me, who do not accept this nonsense, are somehow hateful people, are somehow racist, sexist, misogynistic, homophobic. These are terms that have been so overused in our society. And we see it being used just in our discussion about Star Wars, in our discussion about Captain Marvel. We see these terms constantly being used. And what we see happen here is that instead of actually engaging with the discussion, instead of actually saying, here's what I think and here's why, it turns simply into, well, this is just a myth. Well, this is just, and this is, if you don't accept this, and you're just a hateful person. I can't believe we live in a country, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I'm sorry, but at least we live in a country where you can be gay, you can be a minority, and guess what? You have the same rights as every single other person. And some people might say, oh, but what about this? What about this? I'm sorry, but the fact that you are able to live essentially as you want to live, as long as you don't hurt another person, and you're not treated as a second-class citizen, as a lot of people in other countries are. In this modern day, there are countries that have people, if you're a different religion, or if you're a different race, you are a second-class you are considered a second-class citizen. In some situations, you're even treated worse than that. You're not guaranteed certain rights by different governments around the world. You're not given those same protections. And as I said before, there are certain countries where being just gay, just being homosexual, which used to be the discussion, and now it's all out, well, I identify as this, and I identify as that, and we're going to add pronouns every single day, we're going to add genders every single day. It's like, I'm sorry, but it just becomes so crazy that when me saying that is considered hateful to you, when me saying that is hurting your feelings, when there are people who are gay, who are homosexual, who are being killed for being gay in other countries right now, and jack-offs like Anne Hathaway are going to preach in the capital of this nation and preach to people, a woman who is a white woman is going to preach to everyone else saying, oh, we need to do all these things, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry. If you want to be brave, if any of these people who put forward this SJW nonsense want to be brave, go and say that in a country where you could be jailed for saying that. Go into a country where there are people being killed for these things, where there actually is real, legitimate, actual where discrimination actually exists. Instead of trying to just to dig up saying, well, look at this study and look at this study, look at the facts. For the vast majority of people, you get equal pay for equal work. For the vast majority. And now you could say, well, what about this case, this case? For the vast majority, that is the case. Now, if you want to go into the discussions of why women pick certain lines of work and why men pick certain lines of work, we can go and have that discussion. We can have that intellectual discussion about our culture and how our culture got to the way it is. You can go and have that culture, and we can have that discussion. But don't try and act like things are worse than what they are. Don't try and act like there's just some big, major problem going on right now in our own country when you're just going to ignore the fact that there are actual real-life consequences happening on a daily basis in other countries around the world. Instead of saying and preaching to us about whiteness and straightness and calling the myths of whiteness and straightness, saying that it's so ancient that it's trusted, cisgender, oh my goodness gracious. Anyway, saying I think I'm probably walking around like most people right now. I'm pretty shell-shocked by what I see every day, what I hear every day. I really don't like to admit this, but I get scared. So you're scared walking around the United States. Imagine living in another country. Imagine living in another country where just not believing the religion of the government puts your life at risk. You're scared? You're scared for people? You're scared for yourself? To me, this nonsense that we hear every single damn day is just that. Nonsense. I'm going to say it right now. Anne Hathaway is worse than Rian Johnson. Anne Hathaway is worse than Kathleen. And in fact, that's probably going to be the title of the video. Because guess what? That's what's happening. That's what's true. She is worse than them because, at least for them, they are just dealing with movies. They are just bad at their job. With her, she's actually a talented actress. And she is yet using the position that's been given to her because of her talent to spout nonsense. To be a coward. You want to know what you are? You are a coward. You are a coward because instead of actually going to the countries where people are actually being discriminated against to the point of death, to the point of being treated as second-class citizens, instead you're going to talk in one of the freest countries in the world. And again, you can say, "Oh my God, you're just an alt-right person." No, not at all. Just look at the facts. Look at the stats. They back me up. You are more free in this country than in almost any other country in the world, especially when it comes to speech rights. The fact that you can go to another country and you could say something and you can be arrested for that or fined for that tells you all you really need to know. But let's actually get to the crux of what they actually said, because to me this is just I don't want an ad daily news. Get your nonsense out of here. That's what happens when you do it live, folks. But they don't even have that. What? Okay. Well, as you can see, she's crying. She's crying because basically she tried to say that there is this myth. There's this myth that as she says there, the myth that gayness orbits around straightness, transgender orbits around cisgender, and that all races orbit around whiteness. I don't know who she thinks created this myth because these myths do not exist. This is not how the real world works. It might work like this in Hollywood. It might seem like that way from Hollywood when you're getting paid millions and millions of dollars for just playing a role. It might seem like that from where you're standing. And there might very well be people who are treated that way. I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that there are jack-off people in this world that treat other people like garbage. But for you to come out and try and say that there is this perpetual myth, this giant myth that exists about these issues is just complete and utter nonsense. And all I can say is that, and just stop talking. Anyway, guys, what are y'all's thoughts about this? Do you plan on seeing any more movies with Anne Hathaway? Because I gotta say, I'm kind of questioning whether or not I want to support her as an actress at this point, because this is just complete and utter nonsense. And it really isn't surprising at this point that an actress, and you see this happen all the time, would just come out and just say all these nonsensical things. and to give credence to something that really is nonsensical. And for the fact that she would call someone like me for saying it's nonsensical, she would call me a hateful person. I'm sorry, but to hate somebody is to look at somebody for who they are and say, I hate you. I don't want to have anything to do with you. I don't want to even be near you. That's hate. Me saying, I just don't think this is the discussion that we need to be having. And obviously, I think that there needs to be a talk about psychology at this point. That's not hate. That's not hate. In fact, it's love. Because I care more for these people. I care more for their well-being. I care more for the people who are actually being killed overseas and their well-being than you do at this point. But anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. I know this is a little bit of a different type of video. And I just, when I saw this and heard this today, I just had to talk about it because it is a Hollywood actress, and I do think this is relevant to our current discussion, because we were talking about how SJWism is being thrown into our movies and how it's getting to the point now where you can't even go to a movie, you can't even watch the news without somebody, some actor, some big Hollywood elite, some big money politician to preach to us about what it means to be a good person, about what it means to be white and to be like cisgender and all these other things. And they're trying to preach to people, ignoring the fact that there are actual real life issues that are affecting everybody of all races, of all backgrounds, that are a lot more important than this gender studies complete and utter nonsense. And if that makes me a hateful person, well, you know what? At least I'm living in the real world. But anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Have a great day. And if you like this video, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe. It really does help me out a lot. You guys are all amazing. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. And God bless. Sorry, I didn't mean that to be hateful.